And then that's a really nice place to start thinking about the scenarios and start thinking about the implementation detail. Because what I've found, and this has been true whenever I've used OOPSI, is that any scenarios that you could come up with, any tests, any kind of typical this one, the one where, you should be able to attach it to a process step, always. And if you can't, you've missed one. So if you're using Cucumber or however you're creating your tests, now you've got a structure that you can use to know that you've got to a low enough level of detail there, you can start to write your scenarios and tests. And you've also got a structure that you could replicate in a wiki or something like that, that you can hang them off. So now you look again at the process and you're like, okay, we've got all of these different process steps. Which ones are important? And most of the time, there's stuff in there that you've done before that isn't important, that's not changing. So if you're talking about the ATM, for example, you might not be putting an ATM in and building one from scratch. You might be re-engineering the logic in the database. And if that was the case, you wouldn't care about all of the putting in the card. You'd only care about the bit that says, have I got enough money in the bank, and update the bank transaction. So you can start to focus in on the bits of the process that are the most important. And you might even stub out the other bits. You might even decide they're not necessary. And so you can then, as a team, start to work together using your normal Three Amigos collaborative practices, exploring test cases and examples to start looking at those individual things. And for me, this is where if you were using Jira and you were creating stories, this is becoming the closest to what you might want a user story to be. But it's only a version of it because, of course, this thing's going to grow. I don't know if that makes sense. If you were having a step in that process, which was update bank balance, you're only updating the bank balance within the context of the functionality that you're considering at that point in time. You might not have overdrafts. So it still might grow and reappear later.
Yeah.
So you've gone outcomes, outputs, process. Now you can start attaching scenarios, which might look a bit like given this, when that, then something or other. And then the inputs, the I, is where you would use concrete data examples to support the scenarios.